And we're going to start with a few housekeeping items and announcements. If you need English to Spanish translation, click the globe icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen, select Spanish, and you'll hear the meeting in Spanish. Ms. Damasi, will you please announce this meeting in Spanish for us?
Thank you so much. Buenos días a todos. Nuevamente aquí Flor Di Masi con GloboSpeak Traducciones para recordarles a todos que esta mañana estaremos proporcionando interpretación simultánea al español. Para poder accesar esta función, favor de localizar el icono en la forma de mundo en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla. Una vez que lo hayan hecho, seleccionar español como su idioma de preferencia. Ahora comenzará usted a escuchar la interpretación en español. Es muy importante seleccionar modo silencio audio original para evitar escuchar ambos idiomas o ruidos de fondo. También pondré estas instrucciones vía chatline en el Zoom. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, as always, Ms. Damasi.
Thank you.
We're going to call the meeting to, for online attendees wishing to comment during the public comment period, use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you join by phone, press *9 during public comment to raise your hand and wait to be called on. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's a regular meeting of the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority for September 3rd, 2025. We have an item to administer oath of office. We'd like to welcome Mr. Zach Miller, representing Rancho Simi Rec and Park District, who is sitting in for Dan Paranek today. Joe or Rory, will you administer the oath of office, please?
Mr. Chairman, yes. I think he has the oath in front of him.
Yes.
Okay. So raise your right hand, please. Okay. I, Zach Miller,
I, Zach Miller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the
that I will
Constitution
support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution
of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Very good and welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you stepping in for Dan. Item 3, roll call. James, please take the roll.
Mr. Ortega, Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Hatzenauer.
Here.
Mr. Lang.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you very much. Item 4,
Mr.
land
Chairman,
acknowledgement.
Traditionally, we have the newly sworn members make a short statement. So Zach, we don't know your background, but we're about to get a little bit of it. Right.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for all having me. My name is Zach Miller. I am the current Director of Recreation for Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District. I'm the acting district manager currently while Dan's out on vacation for a couple of weeks. I started my career in recreation about 15 years ago in a special district in Bakersfield. About 14 years ago, started working for the Department of Community Services for the city of Agoura Hills, where I spent 11 years there. And then about 5 years ago, transitioned to Rancho Simi Rec and Park District. I'm a resident of the district. I live in Oak Park, and I'm passionate about open space, conservation, and recreation. So I'm really happy to get a chance to sit in today and meet with you all and be a part of what work that you guys do for the community and for the region. So thank you.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Joe, for reminding me of that. That's very important. Know a little bit about our new members, and we know that you will represent Dan in all the aspects of our MRCA meeting. Okay, George, let's get back to land acknowledgement. Jim, please.
The Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority holds lands that originally and still are inhabited by the Fernandino Tatavian, the Gabrielino Tangva, the Ventureño Chumash, the Waneno Ahashiman, and other indigenous peoples. We honor and respect their elders and descendants as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters.
Thank you, Jim, very much. Very important for MRCA to acknowledge that. Item 5, public testimony on all agenda items and public comments on matters not on the agenda. We're now taking public comments. Submit your name in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Phone callers can press 9 to raise their hand. Each speaker has 3 minutes. One representative per organization or agency gets 5 minutes. We'll notify you when you have 1 minute left and when your time is up. Willie, please announce our first public speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're going to go with the in-person speakers first, public speakers first, Ann Kay, followed by Eric.
Hello, hi,
Hi.
I am Dan Komarosk. I'm a member of the press. I'm here for a couple of things. One of them is I will be the next governor of California. And I want you guys to do your job. And anything that needs to be fixed, I prefer you guys do it now, so that basically my agenda is to just take the keys and just kind of figure out how things are happening or progressing. So if anything needs to be done, let's do it now. I don't want to make any big changes. The other thing too is the folk down in the Palisades in Malibu, they have a lot of concern about MRCA lands and the interaction with both their homes. And, you know, and I was at a movie on Friday, and there was a lot of applause during the movie when they vilified the MRCA, blamed them for their homes burning down. So I don't know how it works. I'm familiar with the conservation of open space. Sometimes it becomes problematic, and they're really focusing and have a lot of anger or distrust of the MRCA. So we're asking that these meetings be made public. YouTube, I think the Santa Monica version of it is already public, and hopefully your meeting is as well. And I'm going to let you do your business after public comments and go to another meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Hey, Willie.
Next public speaker is Eric, followed by Jessica Pastiga.
Good morning, and thank you so much for giving us a chance to speak today. My name is Eric Paquette, and my wife and I and our daughters live at 2144 Nichols Canyon Road. I love our home as much as I love running through the Trebek open space. I access it most mornings from Upper Nichols, and I know how special that trail is. It's alive with people enjoying nature, and I understand why it matters so much to the community. Our home sits directly on Castier Drive, the road built in the 1950s to access our home. My daughter's bedroom window is only a few feet from that road. At night, when the helicopters circle overhead, my girls come into our room because they're scared. I check the Citizen app, and more often than not, it's another home invasion nearby. I tell them everything is fine, but the truth is, I don't always feel that way myself. We live on edge, and without the gates, which the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy would like to take down, we'd be sitting ducks, where vagrant neighbors and drug addicts can easily walk by. Police have been called over 35 times to 2200 Nichols Canyon Road, the home next door to us that is frequented by vagrants and drug addicts. One of the last occupants threatened to kill my wife, and we had to take out a restraining order against him. Just last night, Senior Lead Officer Joseph Raviol of the LAPD sent a letter to the MRCA. He wrote that if the gates at our home were removed, the area would become more dangerous for the surrounding community. He pointed out that the road is very narrow and impossible to turn around on, and that in light of our city's recent fires and landslides, removing the gates would not only make the community safer, in his view, opening the road to pedestrian and vehicle traffic would only add congestion and create even greater danger during an emergency. Many officers who have been to our home over the years have looked around and said, "You're all alone out here. You need to get a gun." But I don't want a gun. I don't want to live that way. I want to protect my wife and daughters with safety measures that prevent danger, not escalate it. The gates do that. They've been there for decades, long before we bought our home, and it's important for everyone to understand that. We did not put up these gates. This is not just about crime, it's also about fire. Just last week, 2 unhoused individuals broke into the home next door and started a fire. Thankfully, a gardener spotted the smoke and called it in before it spread. On Monday, a group of firefighters told me that in the canyon, they always have to plan for the worst case scenario. Frankly, we all should plan for that because we've seen the awful consequences of the fires in Altadena and Pasadena. Captain Rodriguez from the LA Fire Department Engine 41 told me directly that if these gates were removed, he would be very, very concerned. And in a high fire severity zone, especially in the Trebek open space, those delays could be catastrophic. Those were his words. Almost every fire we've seen in Nichols and Runyon has been set by people, not by accident. Without the gates, fires would most certainly increase. And I don't think anyone here wants that to happen. We've also taken the responsibility for this road. Once a year, the water main breaks. When the DWP finishes their work, it looks like a bomb went off. But we fix it, we grade it, we clear it, and we keep it safe so fire trucks can get in and out in the event of emergency. If a fire would ever come through Trebek open space, seconds matter. And if that road is not passable, the lives of homeowners and their families and the lives of firefighters themselves are at risk. We do this work not because anyone tells us to do it, but because we understand what hangs in the balance. It's not just our safety, it's the safety of everyone who loves these trails, everyone who lives in the canyon, and everyone who risks their life to protect it. I ask you to put yourselves in our shoes. Imagine your children sleeping a few feet from an access road full of strangers. Imagine having to reassure them every night that they're safe when you're really not sure for yourself. Owning a home here has been our dream, but if these gates come down, that dream turns into something else and it becomes fear. And no family should ever live that way. In addition, the gates are in a recorded easement area, and that easement has always included the gates. A prescriptive easement for the gates was established before public ownership of the Trebek open space. It bears repeating, the LAPD feels if our gates were removed, the area would become dangerous. The LAFD feels that removing our gates presents an extreme safety risk. I know the conservatory's mission is to protect open space for generations to come, and I share that commitment. But protecting lives, both families and firefighters, is something that cannot be ignored, nor can the voices from the LAFD and LAPD. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Eric.
Chairman, if I can
Yes.
ask the gentleman a question. Do we have a letter from the LAPD?
Yes,
Yes, it was sent last night to your attorney.
I printed it out and I have it here for you, right here.
I received it this morning and I can distribute it as
This
requested.
is an official letter from the city of Los Angeles telling us what?
It's an email, looks like, from a police officer, but I'll forward it around.
But is it from the LAPD? Is this an official communication or just saying, hi, I'm a local cop or something?
It appears to be
the city of Los Angeles telling us what we should.
It appears to be an email from directly from an officer. And at the bottom, there's a disclaimer that says these opinions are mine as a public safety officer for the community and are not formal opinions of the LAPD. But
Okay, that's important to know. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for clarifying that. Willie?
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Mr. Chair. The next public speaker is Jessica Postigo. Jessica, you have this one.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Postigo and I live at 2144 Nichols Canyon, directly adjacent to Trebek open space. On this past Saturday, August 30th, we received a FedEx letter stating the MRCA will be conducting a board meeting today to vote on taking down the gates. I'm here today out of deep concern for public safety. The road is a single lane fire road built solely to access my home, which was constructed in 1959. In 1992, 2 previous owners from us installed security gates after shots were fired on the trail. At that time, the LA Police Department supported their installation to deter crime, and the gates have remained in place since. I will not repeat what Senior Lead Officer my husband just talked about, but he is opposed to removing the gates because he doesn't see the benefits that outweigh the downside for the community. He believes in the domino effect, that one crime will go on to, apparently the statistics indicate there's a domino effect. I want to say that importantly, the gates were in place on privately owned land 5 years before Alex Trebek donated the adjacent property to the Santa Monica Mountain Conservancies on December 31st, 1997. As my husband said, the gates are in a recorded easement that has always included these gates. One night, I came home to find a mentally ill intruder inside my property. It was a day that the Department of Water and Power had conducted work on the trail and left the gate open. He caused substantial damage. The police report is attached. That experience has never left me. And as a mother of 2 girls, I do not want this to happen to my family or anyone else's family. I love these trails and I understand the beauty of hiking in the Santa Monica Mountains. And I know how much this open space means to the community. My family's situation is unique though. Our home sits directly on the road, accessed by the trails. Our daughter's bedroom and bathroom are only a few feet away from it. Because the road runs alongside the house, it is impossible for us to fence in or separate our home from that access point. That really makes safety measures like the gates not reasonable, but essential. I will not repeat what the fire department also acknowledged. But it's important to know that for decades, the rear gate has carried an LAFD lock and the front gate has contained a Knox box to guarantee emergency access. I recently met with the fire department about the Conservancy's proposal and their position was clear. Removing the gates and opening this road to public access would create an extreme safety risk. This area is officially designated a high fire severity zone, with the potential for rapid and extreme fire. We all know the gridlock caused during the Sunset Fire evacuating Nichols Canyon. Mind you, we would open gates to a road with no sidewalks, putting in danger people who would go through. It just doesn't make any sense. And there's no parking on Nichols Canyon for them to access any potential trail. I want to be clear that there is a long record that these gates have existed and have been recognized. I'm attaching a photo from the Los Angeles Times real estate section from May 10th, 1998, which listed our home as an enchanting gated canyon hideaway. This proves that the gates predated our purchase in 1999 and directly contradicts any claim that we installed them in 2007. I also have many photos of the gate from our purchase in 1999, from the woman who we purchased it from in 1997, and from the woman who installed the gates in 1992. Finally, I want to note a letter dated January 26, 2009 from the MRCA regarding the land failure on Castair Drive. In that letter, the MRCA states that affected stretch where the land failure was, and I quote, serves primarily as a private driveway for a limited number of residents, and disclaims responsibility for clearing the debris on unimproved public property. The same letter concludes that debris removal and maintenance of the private road are the responsibility of private owners, us. So we've done exactly that for years. It is difficult to reconcile that position with the current characterization of our safety upkeep as unauthorized improvements. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the board to 1, correct the record to reflect that the gates were installed in 1992, not 2007. 2, recognize that this road lies in a high fire severity zone and that opening it to the public would create an extreme fire hazard. 3, give full weight to the positions of LAPD Senior Lead Officer Joseph Raviol and LAFD, who oppose removing the gates due to life safety risks. And 4, suspend any enforcement or removal action until this matter is fully reviewed with input from fire and law enforcement officials, as well as our lawyer who is on the Zoom. This is not just about my family. It is about the safety of the entire community, the firefighters who protect us, and the police officers who respond to threats in the canyon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. We're going to be moving on to the online speakers. The first online speaker is Delaney, representing CNC. Delaney, you have the floor.
I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak today. Before you all, I'll be talking on 3 items. The first is we have on the consent agenda item number 8, what I want to be speaking on behalf of. I'm going to share my screen to just show the board what you have supported in the past and the work that has been done with the resources that you have supported Community Nature Connection. Let me start by saying my name is Delaney Alamio. I'm the Executive Director of Community Nature Connection. And this is basically a program review of the resources and how we use them to support the work of MRCA as well as the organization. So our mission is, as you all are probably familiar with, is to increase outdoors for communities who have been historically impacted and have not had as easy an access to the outdoors. This is the work that we've been doing over the past year from 2024 to 2025. Your support has enabled the existence of the Offset Learning Nursery at Elyria Canyon. As you can see, photos here show participants doing transplants. That center photo there is at the LA River and Garden Center in Cypress Park. That Mujeres de la Tierra, just with in partnership MRCA, CNC was happy to supply plants from the nursery to that project. We've also been partnering with Test Plot, which is also in partnership with the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority in work around Elephant Hill as well as Rainbow Canyon. We have obviously partnered with MRCA with Transit Trails, taking communities from Northeast and Westlake in and around Elyria Canyon and Vista Hermosa out to the coast. As you see here, we have folks at Temescal, at Lewis McAdams, as well as to some of the beaches up in Malibu. We also have done a number of outreach and engagement with the general public surrounding hikes in and around Elyria Canyon, around fire ecology, doing interpretive programming, again here at Rainbow Canyon, at Vista Hermosa. So we have done quite a bit of work engaging community. We also are responsible for providing training and increasing the knowledge about the importance of the outdoors and the work that is done not only by the MRCA, but the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy in partnership with groups like Community Nature Connection. And in this case, you'll see that we did a fire workshop with the Resource Conservation District and MRCA folks. And here you can see we did a partnership with Northeast Trees in collecting black walnuts in Elyria. And so these are some of the various public programs that we've done. We also provide certification for the general public with resources that have been supported by MRCA. And here, as you see, we have our training institute doing a Cal Naturalist, which is a UC backed program. And some of the field trips here were at Lewis McAdams along the LA River. And we did 2 cohorts this past year. And, you know, in the coming year, we are looking forward to continuing that work. And agenda item H on the consent calendar would enable us to continue this engagement, bringing those impacted communities, facilitating their experiences with MRCA related parks and SMMC related sites. And so all in that with a historic thank you for past resourcing, and looking forward to continuing our partnership with the MRCA. And that concludes the presentation, but I also want to give two other highlights. One, I want to give...
Delaney, you've had 5 minutes.
Okay. I just want to give a shout out to Fernando Gomez. We recently did a fabulous kayaking trip on the LA River, and a lot of our staff, as well as some of the folks that joined us, forget that one of the MRCA sites is the Swole Basin LA River kayaking area. And so having our staff know about that program and having it been conducted by Fernando, and I don't want to forget Teresa and Alfredo, who also support that effort, is critical, because we're now taking that program back to folks in Northeast and Westlake communities, and going to be providing them an opportunity to visit the river in a different kind of way, and experiencing it being on the water is a very different experience than walking along the edge. And I can't say enough the great work that Fernando has done and his team by providing that resource. So hats off, thank you to you. And then last comment I want to make here is I just want to acknowledge that CNC, obviously a family member to MRCA and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, we will be holding an event at the end of the month, September 27th. And at this event, we are going to be honoring, and I want to give a gracious thank you to Rory, who's there. They will be one of our honorees at this event. And so big shout out to the work that Rory has done in the years of supporting outdoor access and creating green spaces for the greater Los Angeles metropolis. So thank you. And I just want to make you all aware of that. And I'll be sending out an email with that invitation, so that hopefully y'all can be present in sharing that honor with Rory. So again, hats off. Thank you so much for the time. And I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delaney. We have 3 more public speakers online. The first one will be Alexander Kapoor, followed by Cheryl Holland, and then lastly, Catherine Gianrakos. Excuse me. So Alexander, you have the floor.
Thank you, board. Appreciate the time this morning. I'm here in my capacity as an officer for the Nichols Canyon Neighborhood Association. It's a voluntary nonprofit group that advocates for the interests of residents in the area. I just need to relay that I've received a number of inquiries about the unauthorized improvements that have been made at the on your property and on your land. We spoke, the speakers in person spoke about it this morning. Generally, the sentiment among a large number of members in the association is that there's a lot of confusion and frustration about why this gate has persisted for so long, and why it's restricting public access to open space. So whatever information that we can offer or provide to validate that to the Conservancy, we'd be happy to relay that. On a personal level, I live at 2265 Nichols Canyon Road, right at the intersection of where that easement is and where that public road leading into the easement is. I'm facing the exact same public safety concerns that the speakers earlier talked about. And I certainly appreciate the issues that you face, in your household. But that doesn't allow me to alter the public realm for the benefit of my own public safety or for that of my household, including my 1-year-old son. We've had very, very close brushes with home invasions and fires and other things here. But, you know, we can't take unilateral action to make improvements or make changes to the public realm or to public space, and nor can we benefit from pre-existing infrastructure that's been there. I would invite the board to think about, like, what would happen if all of us did that and extrapolate. What if we all took action or we benefited from unauthorized improvements? It would have a major impact on public spaces. We would be happy to work with some of the concerned parties who do want to preserve the gate and talk about public safety measures that we can take collectively that are measured and that are appropriate. And we would also invite formal assessments and reviews from LAPD and LAFD, which currently have not considered the input of Nichols Canyon Neighborhood Association or broader residents. So we'd certainly persuade the board to consider having a formal assessment done with considering all party input about the gate. I don't have anything further, but I do have a question for the board, which is, what would you need from us to provide our collective sentiment and input about what this obstruction to the open space means for us right now?
Staff, any comment at this time? Joe, Rory,
Or Jeff?
Jeff?
Mr. Chair, I appreciate all the input from the public. We do have this item agendized. I had a conversation with attorneys for the property owners, and there's obviously a lot to unpack and uncover. And I think that the recommendation to the board today would be to postpone the actual discussion item until a later date, to give us time to collect additional facts. We did send a letter. We have a pretty decent understanding of where we are at the moment, but we're trying to see if we can craft a solution that would work for the MRCA, for proponents of opening, and for the residents up there as well. So that's where we are. I don't want to get into too much discussion in this portion of the meeting, but we anticipate being able to collect all the information and bringing this back for full discussion at a later time.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Mr. Kapar, do we have your name and contact information?
I don't believe you have it directly, but I'm happy to forward it on to whoever is best to receive it.
Yeah, could you put that in the where do they?
The Q&A box.
In the Q&A box?
Yeah, happy
And
to-
then, and that will enable our staff to contact you. Thank you.
Will do. Yep. And again, appreciate it. Would like to be in a position to relay to people who've expressed concern over and over and over again, and concern, frustration about why this has persisted for so long, as well as, you know, the fact that this is open land, right? It's public access, and that doesn't mean that open land and public access and common goods where there are fire risks or there are crime risks should be gated and closed. Like, that rationale and that logic just doesn't hold. So happy to continue on the conversation, and thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you, Alexander. Willie, next speaker.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Alexander. We're looking at Cheryl Holland and then Catherine afterwards. Cheryl, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. And I echo Mr. Kapoor's comments. Thank you for putting this on your agenda and raising this discussion. I am the president of Sunset Square Neighborhood Org, which is directly south of the opening of Nichols Canyon Road. And I frequently go up into this area, as do many of my community members. And, you know, so I take exception when the owners of Carstairs presume to speak for the community, because I think there are very many viewpoints on access to this open space area. I first became aware of the gates blocking exit of this part of the trail in 2020. Many of us were taking to hiking more during COVID. And that was the first time I noticed that I couldn't exit at that end of the trail, even though it was indicated on my trail maps that I could. And so at the time, I was also chair of the environmental committee for the Hollywood Hills Neighborhood Council. And I've been off and on the neighborhood council for many years. I think I've served 2 terms now for the environment chair. And I just, I didn't run this last 3rd term. But anyway, that's when I first became aware of it. And I started to talk to some of the neighbors that hiked up there. And I said, why is this blocked? And that's when I first started raising it. In fact, I wrote a letter to our parks chair, Jeff Messino at the time. And then I think he sent the letter on to you. But in general, I echo a lot of the concerns raised by the Nichols Canyon residents, which is why is this blocked? And one of the things I was thinking about as I was listening to the homeowners speak is that, the same issues that they're raising about the lower Trebeck Trail also exist on the upper Trebeck Trail, and yet that is open at both ends so people can access it. That's something I wanted to point out. I also know that on Nichols Canyon, fronting on Nichols Canyon and near Mr. Kapoor and also the Paquettes is a home that's been abandoned for quite a while. I think there's a conflation between the issues with the abandoned home down on Nichols and the hikers that want to walk through on their lower Trebeck Trail. Another point that I want to make is that I've been up there several times. At one time, there was a truck up there trying to fix, I think, a broken water main or something on the trail, and it couldn't drive through. So it was trying to reverse up this narrow trail. It seems to me this is dangerous to have any type of utilities go up there and try and, repair anything on the trail, but it can't drive through, can't drive straight through. Additionally, given the most recent fire concerns, there's not access. I mean, even if you took the gate down, it looks like the homeowners have put a lot of items behind the gate. And then I believe there's even a second gate up there. So a fire truck can't access this right now. This is extremely dangerous for the community. I would say this is probably one of my number 1 concerns is the lack of access. So that's another point I wanted to raise. And lastly, I mean, who owns this land? Who's paying taxes on this? If the homeowners are blocking off this land, do they own it or do you guys own it? This is a point of confusion. It's not an argument. It's just I don't understand what's going on up there. The last thing I want to say is there's another group of homeowners represented by Upper Curson, which is on the east side. So where you access the trail on the east side, there's a group of homeowners called Upper Curson. And, I always have to access now because I can't get through on the Nichols side. I have to access on the Upper Curson side. And so many homeowners have talked to me about it over the years that they used to be able to walk through. They used to be able to do a loop. So
1 minute remaining.
Okay. And then one of the last things I want to say is somebody mentioned, I think it was one of the homeowners, that you can go up to the upper Trebeck Trail or something. It's dangerous to go up, because they don't have a really well-defined route there. So people like me who want to walk up Curson, access the east gate, exit the west gate and go down Nichols, on a hike, can't do so right now. Trying to get to the upper Trebeck Trail and then winding around up there doesn't seem logical to me. All of the gates should be open. And I just want to reiterate, whatever problems are of concern on the upper Trebeck Trail are also, solvable and happening on the lower Trebeck Trail. In other words, there doesn't seem to be a lot of problems with the upper trail. So why are we attributing so many dire predictions to the lower trail? I guess that's it for me. I do want you to know that there are a lot of concerned citizens all the way around who seem to want, access to both gates. That's been my understanding. I haven't heard anybody say, oh yes, please block off the gate so we can't get through. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Cheryl.
And I would like to be included in any public feedback, please. So I will also drop my contact information and my neighborhood organization's information. In questions and comments, you said?
Yes,
please.
down.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Willie?
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are looking at Catherine, and there is a Michelle Frames who has her hand up. So Michelle, you go after Catherine, but Catherine, you have the floor now.
Great. Hi. Yeah, Catherine Generakis. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment. I am a resident of Carson Place, so I'm calling, coming in from the other side of the hill. I have been participating since, I guess, probably February or March in an informal working group with CD4, Rec and Park, Friends of Runyon Canyon Foundation, whose board I've also joined, that was convened after the fires to sort of really look at overall safety issues for the Runyon and Wattles side. To be clear, I am not speaking on behalf of any of those organizations that I mentioned, although I am a relatively, like I said, recent board member of Friends of Runyon Canyon. I'm a public space advocate overall. I've been on the Ciclavia board for about 15 years. Just speaking on behalf of finding a solution that creates access and an ability to move through, MRCA's open space. Certainly am extremely sympathetic to the concerns raised by the homeowners. I think all of us after the fire in January, and just living in Los Angeles now, are concerned about fire risk and the implications of people being in both Runyon and Trebek open space overnight when those areas are theoretically closed. We've been working on the working group to strategize different solutions, whether those range from different types of gating in Runyon, making sure the gates that are there are actually closed when they're supposed to be closed, but also looking at things like fire sensors and new strategies to protect our open space. I do think that all of us who live in proximity to these incredible public resources have incredible benefits from that, but also bear some additional risks. And I would encourage you to consider strategies that increase access while also considering the safety risks and trying to balance those as best as possible. And it is a challenging task. I'm a technologist by trade. I'm a CEO and founder, and I do believe that we have more tools than we've had previously. And I would encourage the organization to think strategically about ways to deploy those tools. Thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Catherine. Willie?
Thank you, Catherine. The last public speaker who has her hand up, Michelle Crames. Michelle, you have the floor.
You hear me?
Yes.
Apologies, I don't know how to put on my speaker, but thank you so much for this opportunity. It's nice to meet you all. We appreciate all you do for all of the benefits that go along with public access and with the mental health and other benefits of access to outdoor space. I live on Wattles Drive, and I'm also just, my personal background, I was former chair of Griffith Park advisory board and whatnot. So again, like Catherine, I'm not speaking in that capacity, but I'm very familiar with all of the challenges that go with clearing these massive public spaces and making them resistant to fire and other usage. So my biggest concern when I read the MRCA report was the cost was quoted as modest ongoing operation costs. And I would just say my concern would be making sure that we are pairing any sort of additional access to much more proactive fire prevention measures. We live in constant fear of fire and other sources, and there's a lot of invasive species of plants up in that area. We see regularly cigarette butts at the end of Wattles and other areas, and we just want to make sure that there's proactive fire management. I know within Griffith Park, some of the public access points with gates have timers on them. So, we have, for instance, on the trailhead up at the end of Glendower, there was a timed gate that would be closed so that there was, most of the fires are starting in the evening. But as you guys are aware, between 85 and 97%, according to the U.S. Park Service, of wildfires and certainly more on the higher side in California are started by humans. So we just very much want to work collaboratively, especially because the kind of very, very kind of proactive brush clearing that we're doing on wattles and Curson and whatnot is not required within these public spaces, given they're not super proximate to human habitat. But as we know, seeing what happened in January, these wildfires can really spread very quickly with winds and can, go over onto wattles and Curson, which only have one in and out access point. So there's no way to kind of leave that area. So I just want to again encourage when the fiscal impact is taken into account, that any sort of additional, that in general, better to be proactive, and we would love to offer our support as we evaluate sensors and other sources of making this safer, but want to make sure that any sort of plan takes into full account, like any ability, wherever we are, whether that's on upper or lower, or any of the TRIBEC spaces, takes into account the fire risk. And again, happy to be helpful and supportive of whatever we can do to help ensure that we can safely provide as much access as possible, but that it, again, is focused on safety.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I
sir.
can ask Michelle, if you were in our position, so you're recommending that we keep the gates closed and locked?
Well, I'm recommending
or not?
a more full investigation and before you would open them to see what the impact is and make sure that we're mitigating any impact and that we're actually going above and beyond, and that we're doing much more proactive clearing, particularly of invasive species that may be choking out right now the fire resistant shrubs and other sources. So as written, I would say I would keep the gates closed if the MRCA recommendation of just modest ongoing operations cost is the recommendation, because to me that suggests that we're not going to undergo additional fire prevention mitigation. If that makes sense.
So if we're keeping the gates closed, is the community willing to actually buy the property from us? I mean, if the gates are closed, it's not public. And so the question then is, if it's private, is the community willing to come up with the money to essentially buy the property from us, and therefore the public at least gets the money from the money, if not the access. Would you be willing to do that?
Personally, no. I think that this should be public land. But
if it's public land, doesn't the public then have? I'm not fighting you. I'm just saying, if it's public land, then how do you address the fact that it's effectively been privatized?
I'm not a lawyer, nor am I a representative. I'm just a resident. So I don't know the legalities of the historical basis. But I do know that as a resident, we live in fear anytime there's strong winds. I know we live in fear when we see homeless people on the other side of the crest who are freebasing, and we can literally see the fire at night. I know we live in fear when we see helicopters in the middle of the night. So it's just, unfortunately, especially, and I'm a huge advocate. I believe in public spaces. I believe in the mental health benefits, but I'm personally conflicted because we are in fear. And I'm a proponent of whatever solution is going to help prevent further trauma, deaths, et cetera. Because at night, particularly, and the Altadena fire, we were really lucky. We had a climatologist who helped warn the public. But most deaths within these wildfires, or especially urban fires, that happen at night. So I very much fear activity that could happen, increased activity that could happen at night, because we've seen as a community, and we tried collaborating with Nithya Rahman's office and whatnot. We've seen an inability to actually curtail what we find to be very reckless, dangerous behavior from homeless encampments and other things that we see very pervasively on the other side of the trails. And and I'm not sure what the impact of this would be on that fear. So I don't know if the homeowners would want to incur, what their financial situation is, if they would want to buy the property or whatnot. But I would also demand anybody who would buy anything to make sure that they're alleviating any fire risk. And as Catherine mentioned, who's my dear friend, like we're undergoing and looking at like sensors and other technologies. So we would love to think proactively about that. But then that's why kind of the flag of the modest operations cost, and we're all going to be in a budget constrained environment, right? So it's like, how do we collaboratively work together? And we're open to creative solutions as well, if we can figure out, again, ways to make everyone more safe. And part of that, I think, is getting people excited about the trails and whatnot too, because it makes everybody feel the shared responsibility. But whatever we can do to help make that safer is what I'm a proponent of.
Thank you, Ms. Crames. Let's move on to the next speaker.
Last minute, we have Michael. Michael, you have the floor. I hope I just came in. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Were we speaking about the trail on the fire road in Nichols Canyon? I just want to make sure I came in at the right time. Was that what
Yes,
this
go ahead.
discussion is about? Okay. I live directly across from the trail on the other side of the road. And I just called in to reiterate that I am concerned about the safety issue as well. But I'm not sure if what the people brought up with that road. We also, if people having access to that road, people are going to start to park on the road. And I'm already concerned because below us, we have what's called the party house. Aiden Ross lived there. It was a nightmare for months. There were cars all over the place. He left because the house swatted. We had 12 police cars taking 50 out of his house with guns. He'd have park every night. It's illegal to park along the road. Working there all the time, and while I do support, it's going to be more because there were traffic jams with cars parked along. Also concerns me. It has been challenging. There are more people coming up the canyon. It is difficult, especially after hours, to get a response. You can't get anyone from 311 when you call it, and yet 911. Sometimes it's not really an emergency. So I do believe it's important to do this, and I like something to come out of it, but I really would be concerned about access on that road, and I do support keeping the gates closed for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Let me ask you a question to everybody here. Would you support an assessment district that would you would assess yourselves and buy this property and make it private? Because effectively it's private now, but it's private paid for by the public. And would you support privatizing it, making it an assessment district that everybody would then pay for, and then it would be private, but clearly you would have that responsibility, not you individually, but the members of that assessment district.
Are you asking me that?
Yeah.
I would need to talk about the people involved in the neighborhood. I don't know if I could make that decision. I'd like to first talk about the people in the area.
But you're clear that you don't want the gates open. But are you willing to?
I am asking that by doing that, it would cause problems in the area, and as a public area, it would cause problems to the public.
So the opposite of having it owned by the public would be having it owned by the private. So
I'm not sure how to respond. I'm not an attorney. I'm simply just communicating with the group that I've lived there for 35 years. I know the area well. I know the problems, and I'm giving you the scenario of what potentially or what I think very likely could happen by having that access. And that's what I'm putting forward there. I'm just giving my impression of what would happen in this scenario.
Thank you.
Okay, any more speakers, Willie?
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Chair, no, there are no more public speakers online.
Okay, I want to thank all the public who's participated and provided information to the board on the item of public comments. We're moving on to item 6, reports. 6A, Sullivan Canyon Preservation Association. Mr. Hassenauer.
Yes, the Sullivan Canyon Preservation Association Board will meet tonight. There was an event on August 6th where we hosted 2 groups of disabled young adults from UCLA. It was a big success. And now we're planning a November event, which will involve about 2 local elementary schools. And that's all I got.
Very good. Yes, I had planned to attend, but based on circumstances, unable to attend. Thank you, Jim. Moving on to 6B, Fire Division. Ken.
Hey, if it's okay with the board, I believe Richie Shelton's on. He can give you a brief report of what they've been doing on the fire they're currently assigned to. And then I'll give you a quick rundown. We'll keep it short though.
Sounds good.
Richie, if you're on.
Go for it, Rich.
Yes, sir. I am. Members of the board and the public that's on, I appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we do have a type 6 strike team comprised of 16 personnel, including myself. We are at the Garnett fire up here, up north in Central California area. The units right now are currently working in a division that is trying to hold the fire. The location that we're at, though the assignment seems to be smaller and easier, it's noted that the location is very sensitive because it is the hydroelectric plant that actually powers the entire valley. So it's a very small footprint that we're watching, but it is a very important infrastructure that we're protecting. So we are, along with other resources here, are tasked with making sure that fire continues to be a non-threat to the infant. So we are very successful so far. We are hoping to keep it that way. But with Mother Nature throwing weather at us, we're being challenged, but up for the challenge. So we're moving forward. The individuals are being very safe in doing so, and presenting ourselves, helping the state as we are known to do through the OES system with our crew. So very happy to be here, very happy to be able to promote MRCA agency as MMC and continue to do the work, and hope to be home soon for the next round.
Thank you, Richie. Briefly, what is the number of personnel on that fire right now?
So currently right now they have roughly about 1,400 personnel. The fire is about 12% contained. We've lost some containment a little bit here and there, but again, some of that is due to some of the weather changes, and then we've had some lightning strikes here for sure that have challenged our resources here. So yeah.
Turn the radios off.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time, and everybody be safe.
Thank you, and thank you for the information. Real quick, Ken, how did this fire start?
Lightning. Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago now, the whole central area of California took a big hit. There was probably 300 starts.
Wow.
Some of them just extinguishing themselves. Some of them get some legs under them like this one. A couple of small ones came together. When they left, I really had no expectation of them coming home anytime soon. So, and then the past 2 days, monsoon and moisture, I know they've had a lot of additional lightning strikes up there, as we have in the inland area of down here in SoCal. So, yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, actually, here's a picture of the fellows getting to it yesterday. Out there cutting line, trying to contain it. So as far as the actual fire division goes, since we've officially hit the end of summer, that means we've officially hit fall, which means for me, I'm going to have to start looking at weather, 20, 30 days out as far as I can, looking for any wind events. As everybody that's going up here knows, the wind is what is the true carrier of fires here in SoCal. And, along with fuel and topography, but, if it's windy, stand by, right? So the strike team, the type 6s have been out coming up total on 3 different fires. They're sneaking up on 6 weeks right now. OES has indicated they would like to keep them extended, so I could foresee that happening. They'll be up there for a bit longer. So yeah, most of the people on the strike team, while we try to rotate newbies in and out, make sure they all get some fire experience. At least 10 members, because of their qualifications, have been on this fire. As I said, they're sneaking up on 6 weeks of being on the road now. So that's going well. And we said, now that we're officially heading into fall, the GAC reports their newest thing is basically through December, above normal temperatures, below normal rainfall, average to above amount of Santa Ana winds predicted. So the average number is between 5 and 8 normally. Last year, we far exceeded that. I think we had 15 or 16 wind events that carry us, of course, into January. And once again, the wind is the major factor that we deal with. So they're out in the type 6s, which means the new type 3s are sitting here gathering some dust, but they are ready to go. We're getting them out on the road as much as we can. And I'm sure there's something else, but like I said, we're heading into fall. The Weather Service says we're going to have a relatively busy fall.
And how many crew do you still have in the firehouse?
So with all the staybacks, it's between 11 and 14. We've had we've had one guy that's out long-term injury, but he's still on the book. So call it 11, and that's on. So today being Wednesday, the remainders of all 3 of the crews, 2, 3, and 4, are all on board today. So I think I had 11 this morning. All of them have made it out to a fire, so that's part of the training program. They go up there and get some hands-on experience, so they're ready for us come October here. And but some of them are they're new, and we've been doing a lot of work.
And Chief Nelson, so it's also good to remind them that the board that we do have our paid call volunteer staff that has also been able to supplement to add more personnel as well.
Good call. So as Richie touched base, this big heat event we've just come out of, the paid call folks and straight up volunteers staffed additional patrols for us over this past 4 days. So they're available to call and supplement. And there was one more point I was going to make, and let me see if I can rattle it out of the coffee can. So of course, station and vehicle maintenance is ongoing. And
I'll interject a question while you're still trying to think of your point. So how many events have the type 3s been out on so far?
2.
2?
Yeah. So basically, we've been the type 6s are really coming into their own as a resource for the incident management teams up and down the state. And the thought just came and went again.
I'll ask again, and one part of the thought process is, how are they performing? And is it 4 per type 3?
So on a type 3 engine, a staff of 4. On type 6s, a staff of 3. And I do remember what I was going to say. So the initial attack fires are going to become more and more prevalent as we keep moving along into the fall. The fellows that have been staying behind and that have been out on, whether working an assignment out of station or just being on routine patrol, have engaged in a couple of the local initial attack starts. They hit one yesterday that was up there at 5 and 4 or 5 in Roxford area. So they got to participate and help it maintain, stay small. But that's the whole goal of the program. Just by virtue of the fact that they're out moving around, whether it's on active patrol or working on assignment, they're very mobile, and in the best case scenario, they're always in the right place at the right time.
And then on red flag days, you're part of the the extra patrol like on Mulholland and the other hot spots, correct?
Oh, absolutely. So we've already, well, with any of the major holidays, we do pull in the pay call folks and volunteers just to spool up for additional coverage. Is I think one of the reports I did, basically our area that you would think of as our local area, Santa Clarita down to the coast, is a little over 700 square miles. So a lot of,
Yeah,
lot to cover.
lot of reach.
Yeah.
Very
Anyway,
good.
I think that's it. I'll be here for a short time. I do have an appointment in Santa Clarita in a bit, but obviously any questions, please.
Board members? Yes, Jim.
George, or Ken, how's it managed? So this team is about 5 hours away. So as you're looking ahead at the weather conditions and such, would there be circumstances where you would say, Ali Infree, come home, we're gonna need you? Or do we kind of, with them there, we're gonna rely on other resources to join us here?
We're going to rely as heavily as possible on our local resources are here. While technically on paper, a request like that can be made, but it's just one of those things that's not done.
Got it.
So basically it's OES talked to them a couple of days ago and say, hey, what do you think about extending? We talk, I pull out the weather map, I look, I rub the crystal ball. Might even make some local phone calls to the NOAA folks up in Oxnard going, anything coming that I'm missing? So yeah, it's just part of the big chess game.
That raises another question. Are you seeing any difference in NOAA operation under its new pared down?
Well, our locals are not pared down. As a matter of fact, they've spooled up.
Oh, that's great.
They are offering so many more fire related resources, additional staffing. Yeah, there was some really horrifically bad, very inaccurate press that has been on during the January fires that they were understaffed. They were not. They actually had extra staff on. Everybody knew it was coming. And they spooled up.
Got it.
The event was just extreme. I mean, most of our Santa Ana events follow a fairly predictable corridor. The one in January, we knew it was going to be 60 miles wide, and that's just a very rare event. So, but no, matter of fact, the NOAA people, they're so accessible. I can call them any moment of any day, 24 hours a day, and get a spot weather forecast. If I say, hey, give me the weather for Franklin Canyon for the next 12 hours, and they'll pull it all up.
That's great.
So specifically in our area, they're definitely ramped up.
Good to know. Thank you.
I'll also mention the governor's task force on wildfire and forest resiliency. The quarterly meeting is starting tomorrow in University of Redlands for Southern California, and I'll be going to that.
Good.
This is a really big congregation of all the agencies and fire managers on things that are being done in the U.S. Forest Service and state of California.
And I know that upon your return in our next meeting, we'll have a great report on the.
Okay.
Thank you, Roy. Okay, and thank you, Ken.
Absolutely.
We're moving on to item C, Ranger Services. James.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, good to see you all. Well, I'll pick up Labor Day. Labor Day was a busy holiday for us. We were able to provide additional staffing throughout the coast and the Mulholland corridor and some of our key places and locations. I don't have anything dramatic to report, so I guess that's a good thing. But it was a very busy, hot weekend, and so the coast was one of our main focuses. And of course, with Labor Day, we lose a couple of obligations that were kind of obliged throughout the summer months. We're winding down on our kayaking stuff. That'll be coming to an end here soon. And in fact, the team led by Fernando has been doing quite a number of kayak trips this year. Some special needs trips, some staffers from electeds, some nonprofit organizations. So it's been a nice mixed bag. Still doing a lot of encampments. I feel like a broken record up here, but the staff are doing such good work and difficult work that I feel obligated to report it. So some of our locations that are habitual, the CD3 stretch along the Los Angeles River, kind of park area, that is ongoing. And that's, we remove camps almost every day, definitely every day there. We had a big push in the Tahunga Greenway, another stretch of the river, kind of a theme. On the Tahunga Greenway, removed a quite large encampment with a habitual returnee. And again, we try to provide the services that we can. They're often not accepted in any form or another. Then our operations staff, boy, they've had it. They've cleaned and collected a series of what I'll call commercial grade dumpings. Not all the same location or the same areas. We don't have like a suspect. We're working on a couple of leads, but one of them was, I believe it was railroad ties, just a ton of railroad ties at Wilson Canyon. Dumping La Tuna is another habitual place. It's that behind the rock, there aren't any street lights, late at night, there's not a whole lot of
Off the
traffic.
210.
Right off the 210, easy on, easy off. And that's another one that's been very, very challenging for us, both the law enforcement rangers and our maintenance staff together. Our operations folks spent a couple of days in Big Tahunga with LACC doing some non-native vegetation removal. I know, again, it was the hottest week of the year so far. So, but many hands make for light lifting. They also installed some pipe barriers in the Deer Lake Highlands property area. We've had some off-roading issues. So one of our preventative measures is to put up the steel posts filled with concrete. Oftentimes that works. Oftentimes that they just drive right. Like you just keep installing post after post. But in this case, there's a good choke point where we try to put them to help prevent that. And I think that's pretty much the summary of my report. Tim Para, supervisor for the coast, just did a phenomenal job leading the folks over the weekend. So I just want to give him special thanks. That, I wait any questions or comments?
On the topic of preventative activities, in talking about the encampments, they keep reappearing. Is there some kind of a patrol that could be devoted to, preventing people? They see somebody starting to put their tents up or whatever they do. Can there be that kind of a interaction with these homeless?
Yeah, and that's one of our tools. So in a place like Tahunga Greenway, I know Supervising Ranger Scatavia really focused there for a couple of weeks. But then you have to go to CD3 where there's a problem and focus there for a couple of weeks. And then you have to, the problem is we can't be there all the time. They know that, we know that. In most cases, the patrol rangers know these individuals by first name. They've contacted them so many times. And, we can clean it up, help them, give them some trash bags to collect their belongings. Whatever they leave behind is trash. We clean it up, pressure wash it, and go about our business. They're back within hours.
Can there be kind of like a hot team that just maybe, I don't know the numbers, it's off the top of my head, that can be patrolling these potential areas every day, not devoted to your other ranger services, but just, hit all the venues that are often, used by homeless?
In an ideal world, I would have the staffing to do that.
Okay.
But we just don't. Those kinds of numbers would require probably 4 or 5 additional staff, full-time rangers, so because they need to be able to conduct law enforcement. But that's in addition to what we're trying to get there.
Yeah, understand. And
even then, we wouldn't have a night shift necessarily. So to do it 24 hours, double those numbers. Now we're talking 8 or 9 rangers if we wanted to go overnight.
Okay, but it sounds like in the back of your mind, you've got numbers as to what we need to incorporate that type of effort.
Yes. As it is now, the troops work as a team. and they'll pull rangers from other areas to go hit dedicated problem areas. And we do that for as long as we can. And then it goes back to a regular patrol basis, which like in CD3, there's a ranger there every day. So every day that ranger and the park staff are making contact with people who are living under the bridge or set up a tent on the bike path or whatever.
Yeah. I'll have conversation with other staff, but I would like to just see some potential planning for that type of a strike force, you know, because you consider all the time and effort that you have to put in every few weeks, going back, repetitive, expensive patrols, etc. If that could be somehow minimized by having a daily.
I'm open to any suggestions anybody would ask.
Okay.
Because we're constantly trying to think of things. Chief Gomez found a location underneath the bridge. I won't identify where it is, but whoever manages that bridge has put an obstruction so you can't set up a camp underneath that bridge. But along the LA River, that's going to have to be approved by the county. And the Army Corps of Engineers is going to have to do all of their modeling for all the flooding and stuff like that. Somebody's going to have to maintain it. So we're constantly looking for out of the box ideas. But one of the problems is it's not just our parkland, it's all of Southern California has this issue, the entire Southland. So everybody would have to change their way of thinking on this.
Yeah.
Because we can just move them off the bike path now they're on the city street. And nothing prevents them from going back and forth. So,
yeah. It takes a lot of out of the box thinking to address those issues here in Southern California. Board members, any comments, thoughts, questions on the Ranger report?
Just one quick idea that I think we need to watch for, that with the Olympics coming, there's going to be new money, I think, for dealing with the homeless issue, and we should be alert to that and, you know,
agreed.
Look for the resources.
Agreed.
But I know how hard you guys are working on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's whack-a-mole.
Well, and at least for one of our parks, CD3, they plan to have some of the games in the smaller bases.
Right.
So that's well within our area.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Moving on to item D, constructions. Tim, are you with us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, he is not. I will be sharing a report for our construction division. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and the public. Construction division has focused on multiple projects. First to report is the completion of fire hardening improvements at Franklin Canyon Park. Specifically repairs that we completed to 2 trail stairs near the dam, amphitheater seating that we also repaired, and 7 total exterior posts that were surrounding the nature center. Secondly, our division has continued fire damage restoration efforts at Temescal Gateway Park. This is to both partially damaged structures and all utilities, including municipal potable water, water waste, and natural gas service lines. And additionally, we have started fire training facility improvements at King Gillette Ranch. This is in anticipation for the fire training program that will begin in January of 2026. We have started with the conversion of existing bedrooms in the dormitory building and annex building to expand the total number of beds that will be available for training of students and staff during the duration of that program. We are converting 1 bedroom space from each floor in the dormitory, so 1 from the 3rd floor and 1 from the 2nd floor. We will be adding a total of 3 additional bedrooms with all of that work, and an additional 2 in the annex, where we are converting 1 current space into a total of 3 beds, again, in efforts to accommodate this expansion. And lastly, we have installed the very first picnic table at Tuna Canyon for the Grateful Bench project. We are very excited to have completed this and have already shared with the foundation. As you are aware, and we've shared before, there is a long program that is looking forward to additional picnic tables, this being the first to pilot in conjunction with multiple more benches. So this concludes my report for
Martha,
today.
I have a question for
Yes,
you.
Jim.
Sure.
You're talking about picnic benches. Most of the graceful benches are not picnic benches. These are specially designed for picnic table use.
Correct. Yes.
Do you have a photo of that?
I do. I can share that if you'd like
Yeah,
at
please.
this time. Yeah.
That was going to be my next question.
Yes, more than glad if you give me just 1 second, please. Okay. Are you all able to see that? Okay. So yeah, so this is the
Classic picnic bench.
yes.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
this is part of the Grateful Bench program.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
now we've
funded
got,
by the
now we've
Pritzker
got two
Foundation.
styles.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is the very first one. Yeah.
And where is this located?
This is at Tuna Canyon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the location that was, vetted and kind of approved by the Grateful Bench Project group to be the first one to be installed.
Well, you talked about a venue with a meal with a view. Can't beat that one.
It's a beautiful view, yes.
Well, thank you,
That concludes
Martha.
my report. Of course, thank you.
Any board member comments or questions? Okay, we're moving on to item E. Liam, Tribal Liaison Report.
Good morning, board members, members of the public. So quick report today. First item is the Environmental Protection Plan for the Los Angeles and Ventura County Fuels Reduction Program. So we're currently in the procurement stage of tribal consultation. We've received a few mitigation and avoidance measures that we're going to be adhering to on that project. And it seems that we're in the process of getting some cultural monitors under contract for the first weeks of implementation of that fuels reduction operation. So that's coming along smoothly, and we should know by the end of the week what the full scope of our cultural monitor needs on that project are. So that's exciting to be able to get to work on that. And we are also offering to the tribes that are engaging with us in consultation that are ancestrally affiliated with the areas that we're conducting fuel treatment in. We're offering, partnership opportunities if they have conservation crews or, even their own fire departments and they want to observe any of the fuel treatment plans that we have going on. We're just trying to open up the pathways for conversations with LA Fire and Ventura Fire to make sure that, observation is ideal, but anything in terms of development, skill development, or volunteer development, workforce development that we can pass along to some of these tribal conservation corps will be fantastic for them. So we're trying to build as much social value as we can into that fuel treatment operation. Moving south to the Orange County area, Randall Preserve, we have our ethnography first draft of the property prepared by ASM Affiliates, which is moving into individual tribal consultation this next month. We also have the content outline of the tribal access and engagement plan moving to the writing piece of that report. That's going to be done in conjunction with the same tribes that have been working with us for the past year and a half on it. And we're going to be moving that after this phase to individual tribal consultation. In addition to that, we're also finalizing a contractor agreement with one of the tribes that has been working with us the whole time in the preparation of the TAEP to deliver an Indigenous Sciences report on the property. Totally observational, and it's a planning activity that'll hopefully be used later on to bolster some of the ways that we can continue working off that TAEP, Tribal Access and Engagement Plan, once it's fully complete. And then lastly, if anyone is in Sacramento on September 26th, it is the California Native American Day, and MRCA's booth just got approved last Friday before we went on our long weekend for Labor Day. So we will have our own booth space up there, a dedicated presence just to MRCA. We were going to be sharing CNRA's table with them, But we got off the wait list for a booth, which is fantastic because it filled up faster this year than any other year beforehand. And with that, I'll end my report.
Well, congratulations on accomplishing that. And I think we should inform various agencies that we're interacting with about that opportunity for them to come and visit our booth and so forth. I think that get a lot of mileage for MRCA.
So Liam, question, you mentioned that there might be the fact that tribal groups in our area have their own fire departments. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so there are multiple different grants that have kind of been awarded in the last few years, some of them to already existing federally recognized tribes that have their own fire department on their reservation, and then some to non-federally recognized tribes that kind of lay the groundwork for what a fire department could look like. I don't know if there's any within LA County that have an actual red card carrying fire department that's not solely made up of volunteers. But I do know that there are talks at some of the tribes in Los Angeles County to start one. And they would either be subdivisions of some of the tribe's affiliated nonprofits, or they would be an arm of the tribe. That's really up to each tribe to decide how they're going to structure it. But if you're asking if they reside in LA County, no, they would be residing in neighboring counties. And the two that I believe are the most established would be the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians and the San Manuel. Actually, they changed their name. So now they're the Yahaviatom of San Manuel. They're no longer the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians.
Liam, just a thought, not knowing this structure that's already in place, is there a service, an opportunity that our MRCA Fire Division can be incorporated as a consultant to these various tribal fire groups? Is there anything that we can provide to support their effectiveness and also just a good PR?
Well, if I'm being honest, I think that technical aid is one of the biggest things that we can offer some of these tribes fire departments, because they want to go after everything, but they just don't have the manpower some of the time. Some of them do have the manpower, but some of the time they don't have the manpower to really go after all of these CAL FIRE solicitations and really, pursuing them with efficiency. So if we can step in to kind of do that, or even provide letters of support when they do go after these applications, that would be good. Things along those lines are really the most prominent ideas in my head from what I've seen. But talking about workforce development opportunities, things like that, that's where we're going to be really more able to make a big impact, but it's going to be a longer term effort, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And
Okay.
also, and Ken's not here to bounce the thoughts off of, but when we go out on mutual aid, for a couple weeks or whatever the time period, that maybe one fire personnel from one particular tribe this month could go join our MRCA fire team and get additional training and experience and so forth to bring back to their tribal fire department. Just a thought, and I'm sure there's lots of other ideas out there, but I just think if we can assist in any way these tribal fire departments, that'd be great.
Definitely. Sometimes you got to get creative, but I know we can do that.
Great. Board members, yes, Jim.
Liam, what's the name of the tribe that just signed a contract or is about to sign a contract down at Randall?
So the one that is in the most final stages of the contractor process is the San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians.
Okay.
And they're going to be using a couple of their staff to dedicate to that planning effort.
Thanks. When you make your reports and you mention a tribe, it'd be really helpful to me to name it because it kind of helps me learn who's around.
Definitely. If the contract was already signed by both parties, I would have. No hesitation.
Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other board member questions? Thanks again, Liam. Moving on to item F, employment. Angelica.
Hello, everybody, and hello, members of the public. Good morning to everyone. My employment report is short. We have one new hire. We have a former MRCA staff that returned to join Brian's team, and that is Sarah Rascone. But I will let Brian introduce her during his report. So what I'm going to do during my report is I'm going to take the time just to give a short update to our board on our insurance. I'll start off with the good news. The good news is that through the hard work of our staff, supervisors, and HR, and all of our staff, our workers' comp has improved greatly, and our premium dropped 40% this year.
What?
Which is, yeah, so that's good news there. And that also translates that we're keeping our staff safe. And so that's the big plus there. So I want to take the time to thank everybody who is present, from Amy's team who does the trainings, to our supervisors who implement our policies and so forth. Thank you very much for that. Our carrier is very happy with us as well. Now, on the not so good news, we do, the insurance market in California is very difficult at this time due to the fires, due to landslides and so forth. So we do have had an increase there, but I do want to say that Lillian and Amy's team, along with the guidance of Melissa, who's there in front of you, we are working really hard at addressing that, and we actually have some appointments scheduled and so forth with other options that we are looking at. So at some point, I think Melissa had mentioned this, that at some point legal will be doing a report on this, but I just wanted to give you an update that that's where we are. So with that, I conclude my report, unless there's any questions from any of you.
Thank you, Angelica. Board members, any questions? Appointment? Again, thank you.
Yeah.
And we're moving on to item G, legal. Jeff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Just another quick update from me and my team on acquisitions that were closed over the last month. We actually had a fairly active month. We were able to complete a transfer from the city of Santa Clarita for 77 acres in Bee Canyon. I think this is right along the 14 freeway out there near past Santa Clarita. It's a nice addition to our holdings out there. Small but important acquisition in the Elephant Hill area. This is obviously in Northeast LA, and the board has heard quite a bit about Elephant Hill over the years, about patrol and our plans out there. So we were able to close on a 0.35 acre parcel, or a couple of parcels, funded by Prop A in that area. As you may recall, this is sort of a checkerboard property ownership area with lots of tiny little parcels that owners have varying ideas about what they can or can't do out there. And it's just prime for consolidating all of them, or many of them, into a public open space with trails and a contiguous preserved area out there. So we're well on our way, and it's another little piece of the puzzle out there. Nearby, we also closed on some conservation easements in Walnut Canyon. This is in Glassell Park, over just north of the River Center there. I think this is pretty recent, just at the end of last week. So we have conservation easements over 12 lots, totaling 1.5 acres. And this was a combination of grants from the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, combination of two different pots of money there. The benefit of these properties is that the neighborhood really wants us to preserve those lands, but there's quite a bit of maintenance and brush clearance on those parcels. So one of the things that we have been incorporating is acquiring conservation easements as opposed to fee title. So the underlying property owner still ultimately has a responsibility of doing the brush clearance created by nearby homes, but yet the property is still protected. One of the results is that the property owner doesn't get the entire value of the property, but most of it, because the development potential for those parcels is transferred to the MRCA. So those are the three acquisitions that we had in this last month. On other non-acquisition items, obviously, we have a full closed session today, so we can brief you more fully there. And we continue to work on all sorts of different issues, including, encroachments and various issues related to fires and still landslides, if you can believe that. So unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff,
Go for it, Joe.
so where we take a less than full fee ownership, is the residual owner aware of their responsibilities, for example, with respect to fire clearance?
It's written into the document, so constructive notice certainly, legal notice certainly, but we will. What we're doing is implementing a more robust communication program with fee title owners of property over which we have conservation easements. So that is for, we're going to be notifying them to remind them. Some folks have had these conservation easements on their property for 20, 25 years. They may forgot. The property may have transferred hands 2 or 3 times. And as we know, not every property buyer sifts through their title report like I do, like I did when purchased property. So they may not be aware of this. So what we're going to be doing is doing outreach to them to let them know what their responsibilities are, what their restrictions are, and what their continuing obligations are as a fee title property owner going into the future.
Joe, in this case,
that's important, and we're going to be documenting that.
Yeah, we're going to be sending letters.
Okay.
Obviously, it's it's important with as we've been talking about quite a bit over the last few years, fires and landslides. There's a lot of things that sometimes people assume that the property behind them is owned by the public or a park agency or conservancy or the city. And sometimes it's just encumbered with a conservation easement. They still have the responsibility to maintain those properties within the restrictions of the conservation easement. So it's a good practice to keep them informed, to keep up that communication, and let them know that exists. So we will have writing of it.
Thank you, Jeff. Paul, you had a comment?
Oh, just in this case, with this negotiated deal on Walnut Canyon, the owner was highly aware of that. He still had the brush clearance obligations.
Great.
Because he owns another 15 fee simple lots in addition to these 2.
Okay. Thank you. Board members, any questions, Jeff and legal? Okay, we'll see you in closed session, Jeff.
Thank you.
Item H, coastal projects, and as you saw in the email this morning or whenever it came in, Elena sent the report via email. I don't know if all of you've had an opportunity to read that. It was quite extensive, and want to thank Elena. I guess she's not even online, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's quite a report. A lot of, like I say, a lot of information and good information. Okay, so and if you have any other questions, go back and at your leisure and read her report. Moving on to item I, natural resource and planning. Paul, please.
Just 2 things. We're helping the city of Calabasas look at acquisitions. The Conservancy gave the city a grant to appraise and look at all the remaining open space parcels in the city, and we're kind of paring down what might be the best options for the city to ask for money to add open space within Calabasas. That's one. And then the second, we finally completed a cattle lease for the Hathaway Ranch property,
Yes.
which partly burned in the Canyon fire. So that's a 5-year plus a 5-year renewal potential, which is good because it keeps some presence on that property that's really, really hard to get any personnel to. And hopefully the rancher will parlay that lease into a Soil Conservation Service grant to improve the property with better water and money so we can fence out of the riparian areas. That's all I got.
Okay, you mentioned, the cattle grazing contract, et cetera, and the fire. The area of turf that the cattle had been grazing, was there minimal burning there?
Yes, it was. There's a pretty strong correlation between where the cattle obviously were eating all the grass and where the fire stopped. I don't know whether there was also a ridge line involved. Maybe fire might want to step in a little bit, but there's very strong correlation.
Thank you. Anybody from fire want to make a comment? Not necessary, but just for FYI. Okay, thanks, Paul. We're moving on to park development. Sophia.
Good morning, Chairperson and board members. It's nice to see you all this morning. Still morning, which is great.
Yes.
Really brief updates from our team here. We do have a project that we've been working at the River Center, referred to as the Barbacoa Room Community Room renovations. A lot of planning has been taking place, and so currently we're actually in the bid process. So we've executed out a bid package. We have a meeting coming up this Thursday, mandatory site walk, and we'll have the bids due in a couple of weeks. Hopefully that gives us a sense of where we land in terms of actual cost and compare that against our grant that we have. I think we're close, and we may be able to move some things around, and maybe a small request might be coming your way to be able to close that gap on the final cost for the Barbacoa building. But that's very exciting. It's going to get a whole new roof, HVAC and structural, things that you wouldn't think are into minutiae, but we dove right in onto all those items. Moving on to the second item out of 3 that I have for El Dorado. I know we've mentioned this project before. We are in the pre-bid process, and one of the items right now that we are also working on is closing the funding gap for that project. Today in the agenda, we have on consent request to submit an application for a Google Earth grant, exploring different funding opportunities, this one being into the private sector. So we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that we've provided them all the information as we were to move forward and submit. And then the last item that I do just want to highlight, it's not as much of an update, but just an update in terms of staff capacity. FEMA, we've been working a lot, and by we I mean Julian from our team, to respond to a lot of FEMA inquiries, both with the current active disaster that we have and the past disasters. If you recall, we did have 2 storm surges prior to, which had a lot of disasters more on the mud flow in terms of closing those out. So they have been a bit of a time suck, which kind of reduces our capacity, but she has been fortuitous in making sure we're responding to all their comments. FEMA are trying to make sure we get things in so that they are obligated before any new random deadline is put forth. We've been seeing that time and time again. We'll have about a couple days notice that there's a new deadline to submit something by some date. And they've been, they being Julian on our end, responding really well. So just wanted to relay that in terms of our team's capacity at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. Any questions? I have a quick one, and I won't, pull the item off the consent calendar, but you had mentioned a Google grant. Had we applied to Google previously for such a grant?
I believe this is the first time that they're having this program specifically. So we haven't applied before. By we, I mean our planning team. So this is the first time we're submitting.
Great, good luck.
Thank you.
And Chair, I actually wanted to tell you, this is a really interesting thing. Google is allowing applications up to $6 million for basically water conserving projects. And essentially, AI uses a lot of water, a ton of water. And so corporations like Google have huge water allocations, like how much they're using. And so they have now gotten into this this project where they want to fund public works projects with grants. So we just found about this through our river watershed ambassador at the county. And our project is much smaller than like what they would like to fund, but we said like, hey, this tiny park is going to be taking 23 acres of stormwater. Could we apply? And they said like, please do. So you know, we're constantly trying to find alternative funding sources to make up, you know, other than the state, because we know the state is tapped. So we're excited and hope to report back progress on this.
Thanks,
So
Brian.
Jeff,
Appreciate.
as
Go, Joe.
as a technological troglodyte, how does AI use water?
My understanding, and I'm not a technology specialist, is just that in the cooling of these computers, the cooling process, the refrigeration and whatnot, it uses intensive amounts of water. And so until that changes, technology actually is going to increase our use of water.
So what do they do? Bathe the computers in a pool of water or something? What?
Refrigeration, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the evaporative cooling, but
okay, all right.
We'll learn more about it.
So like basically cooling towers in on a power plant, essentially.
That's
yes.
about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We're moving on to develop resources. Maribel.
Hi, good morning, Chair and members of the board and staff. Thank you all for, I'm going to give a brief report today. The Developed Resources Division is currently just gearing up for a very busy fall season, which includes some of the MRCA's largest community events and festivals, which, as you know, Knights of the Jack is coming back for another year. Dia de los Muertos here at the River Center. And just last weekend, we had the first Mayan community event at Vista Hermosa Park, and that was very well attended. And we're hoping to be able to continue that festival every year and be a supporter of that program. And along with that, our park management team is really just busy trying to get all of our parks ready for brushing and different improvement projects. A couple large projects that we're working on currently is at Franklin Canyon Park under Fernando Castrejon, who's the park manager there. And so there is an item on the agenda under the consent calendar for Franklin Canyon Park that, and we're asking for a contract for managed career solutions. And so we have a representative here from MCS, which is Managed Career Solutions. And so we have pretty long history now going with MCS and their labor crews. And I'd like to introduce Noel, who's online, and he's going to give a little background on himself and on MCS.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Noel Kashabu with Managed Career Solutions. Managed Career Solutions has been doing workforce development for the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles for over 25 years now. We started working on the fire projects, the cleanup projects, and the storm projects around the end of 2017 with the Creek Fire in Tujunga. And we've worked at various MRCA properties, starting in the Woolsey project. We worked at Ramirez Canyon Park, New Millennium Trail. Currently, we're working at Temescal Canyon Park on the 2024 severe winter storm cleanup, and also Temescal Gateway Park for the 2025 wildfires. So this opportunity was brought to us. We are very excited for the possibility of helping Franklin Canyon with the reconstruction of their trails. It's something I feel like we specialize in, and we've really done really well at a lot of public lands since 2017. And I just want to let you guys know that I have also submitted Franklin Canyon Park to get it to become an approved site for our 2024 winter storm program. We have already exhausted the first allocation of funding, so we are awaiting the second allocation of funding from the state. I have gone ahead and submitted Franklin Canyon, so hopefully with this contract, I'll also be able to leverage money from the 2024 severe winter storm program to hopefully, counteract the contract and be able to extend and using the WIOA funds that we get from that program.
So
Very good.
Noel, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Managed Career Solutions. So graduates of your program go on to other careers or careers in public affairs. Tell me a little bit how that transition occurs.
Sure. So like with the storm programs and the fire programs, they're temporary work experience programs. So people come into our offices looking for workforce development services. And whether it's we're assisting them by paying for some vocational training that they want to take, or if they're just coming in looking for work, we offer various services, supportive services for the participants if they have transportation issues or anything like that. So they come, like say you came to our office, you're like, I'm looking for work. You would sit with the case manager. We would see if you need help with your resume, put you through workshops, mock interviews and stuff. And then we'll show you what we have to offer. We'll be like, hey, you're looking to get to work. We do have these temporary work experience programs. Normally they're capped out with hours. For example, the 2024 severe winter storm, each participant could work a maximum of 620 hours. So while they're doing that 620 hours, we're also working with them to help them find unsubsidized employment. So there's no gap in between them working on a temporary work experience program and us helping them, find a job. So they're working constantly with our case managers. We're uploading their resume. We do provide them with training for certifications and stuff like that, sir.
All right. Thank you.
What's your success rate on that, in that transition of leaving your subsidized employ and moving into full-time positions?
So I would say I don't have that number offhand, but if I had to, I feel comfortable saying we're in the 60 to 70% range.
Okay.
Yes, but I don't have the exact number, but I could definitely provide that.
Thank you, Noel.
Thank you, Noel. Yes. And another thing I just wanted to add was that we were so impressed by their labor crews over at Temescal that helped really rebuild one of the main trails that we have there at the park. And one particular candidate caught the park manager's eye. And so we have since hired Jeremiah, who is now part of the Temescal Gateway Park team and Developed Resources Division. So MCS has proven to not only be able to provide us with really great services in terms of their labor crews, but also their candidates are now entering the workforce here at MRCA. So thank you, Chair and members of the board. That's
Great.
my report.
Well, good report, and thank you for introducing Noel and a new aspect to the services that they provide. Board members, any questions? Develop Resources? Again, thanks, Maribel. We're moving on to item L, Watershed and River Programs. Brian.
Morning, Chair. So I will keep my remarks brief. So first, I just wanted to share that Sarah Rascone has rejoined the MRCA, and I'm really excited that she is working as part of our watershed planning team. Her title is Deputy Chief of Watershed Planning. So I just wanted to let Sarah say hi, and sort of she can very briefly share what is the scope she's going to be working on here.
Hello, board, staff, members of the public. Nice to be back with you. Sarah Rascone here. Thank you, Brian, for that introduction. I will be working alongside and supporting Brian and watershed projects, in particular, working on reconvening the Upper LA River and Tributaries Plan and seeing that projects continue implementation and provide support to entities externally and both internally to ensure that we are working on seeing these projects come to fruition, and also on the watershed in terms of the flows within the LA River, and working on River Ranger program planning alongside Fernando and his team, our Chief Ranger, who's done great work along the LA River already. So happy to be back. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome back. Okay, any other comments or questions from board members? Okay, Brian, go ahead. Do you have any more?
The only update I wanted to share was that last week, Chief Ranger Gomez, Sarah, and we spent the day with the Army Corps of Engineers in Sepulveda Basin and Hanson Dam. Right now, the Corps has been undergoing what they call a master plan update, where their schedule is every 25 years, the Corps looks to upgrade the land use classifications of federal properties. And so it's been about 15 years since they've done it, both at Hanson and Sepulveda. Why that's significant is that these land use classifications govern what things you can do on the site, and generally, if the land use classification prevents some kind of future project, you have to wait until the next time they go around and do this. So in the world where it takes 25 years, if you miss the boat, you're really stuck. So there is a lot of work going on through ULART, through city efforts, both at looking at Hanson and Sepulveda. Specifically, Sepulveda has the vision plan that the Conservancy helped fund, the development of the vision plan to think about integrating the river. And so we had a really good tour on last Tuesday with the Corps staff that they're working out of Texas to talk about sort of the implications and their understanding what it is that the local entities on the ground are hoping to do. And so it was really nice to be able to sort of to work collaboratively with them. And our team felt like we were, I think, being heard, and that we're understanding sort of the needs of the Corps and the process. So anyway, it was it just sort of like reinforces these days that when you can be on the ground and actually working with a project team, whether instead of virtual, it was just really it was a productive day. So I just wanted to share that that's a lot of the work that we're doing behind the scenes. That's a good example, and it's going to be also really important why Sarah's joining our team, because she adds a lot of capacity and experience. So that's it for our updates.
Very good. Thanks.
Question for you, Brian. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to tour with my family the Corps East Texas facilities, including, I think, the best run campground I've ever seen of any agency ever. Is there any willingness or aptitude on the part of the Corps to actually start running facilities themselves here in Southern California? Not just giving grants or something, but actually running campgrounds, that kind of thing.
That's something I've learned about, Joe, that they do have a lot of different types of facilities across the country, and it seems like camping and recreation is a really big part of some of their properties. In Southern California, specifically, these two properties I'm talking about, there are leases with the city, with Rec and Parks. And so that largely then sort of negates that need, because the city becomes the sort of entity providing that service. I am aware that in, I want to say, like City of Industry, there's another federal Corps property that's the, I'm forgetting the name of that dam, but it's right off of the 605 freeway. That dam there, I believe, is operated by the Corps, and so it's then sort of operated.
Santa Fe Dam.
That's right, Santa Fe Dam. And so I believe that dam is operated by the Corps, and that sort of fits more with like what you were talking about, Joe, in terms of different purposes. When we were on this tour, they were talking a lot about what the federal government funds to the Corps. And so because the city is leading the recreation, really the funding that comes to these properties isn't for recreation, because the city sort of makes that up. So I think it really largely depends on who it is that maintains or operates or has the lease of the properties. And until that were to change, it probably wouldn't be a big use change as you were asking.
Well, let's keep in mind the potential for the federal government to step in. So it's not just the National Park Service or the Forest Service, but I was very impressed in my own little personal way with what the Corps can do. So if we have core opportunities in this world, maybe the Department of the Army has a more line in on federal money than anybody else. So
Yeah, we'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I've not ever heard that before, that the Corps is that involved in campgrounds, parks, et cetera. So that's, for me, that's new and good information. Thank you. Board members, any comments or questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian. Okay, we're moving on to our last report, finance. Melissa?
Yes.
Yes.
Good me. Bassam is busy closing our fiscal year and preparing for our auditors, and I am in cash land. So just an update for you on that. Cash is super tight. It always is every summer. We have all of our projects going. We have people going up on fires. They're paid differently than they usually are. So it's a lot of cash demands at the same time. And so we knew back in April we were going to need to increase those lines of credit. You probably know that already because I've told you before. But so we started that process in April. We did a 3-year cash flow forecast, estimating our maximum need at any time in the next 3 years would be $15 million. We have $3 million in our operating reserve, so we knew we needed a new $12 million line of credit. We started talking to banks we already had relationships with, and we started the process with our Joint Powers Authority partners in order to get that. So that part of the process means that all 3 JPA members have to have a public hearing and a finding of significant public benefit for us to increase our lines of credit. We already went to the Conservancy. We went to Rancho thank you, Zach. And we're going to CRPD tomorrow. So that is just a finding of public benefit for authorizing a line. It's not about choosing a bank. It's not any of those types of details. So we are now in negotiations with 3 different banks. The 2 previously are no longer interested. So now we're with 3 other banks. So I'm hoping to come back to you in October with hopefully an agreement or at least a term sheet as we work through that process. Currently, we have 3 lines. 1 is maturing this month, 1 is maturing in December, 1 is maturing next June. So you'll see on the consent, I think it's item D, I'm asking for authorization to use some of our reserve funds to bridge that cash flow gap while we get the new line set up. So that's that item for you. And the other kind of fun thing I just wanted to let you all know is I spent last week at the California Special Districts Association conference, and I went to a surplus land meeting, and the expert legal presenter there was Laura Ratcliffe, and it was really fun to see and chat with our former staff. So just fun to say that, and I'm available for any questions you have on cash or anything else.
That was very clear.
Good.
If it's applicable, you said the 3 previous banks passed on the.
So it was 2.
2, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so they're the banks that we had previous relationships with, but they inherited just different aspects of our lines of credit, but they're actually not used to dealing with government agencies. And so they are a little timid in this current environment to go into business on their own accord with an entity that relies a lot on government money, because there's so much concerns about government money right now, whereas the 3 banks we're currently in talks with are primarily banks that serve special districts in California. So they're very familiar with what we do. So we're more optimistic with them, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, well, thank you for explaining that. In the back of my mind, I was kind of curious.
Yeah.
All right. Any board questions? Okay. Thank you to staff, to every one of you, and presenting information that's very important to the operation of the MRCA. We're moving on to item 7, consent calendar, items A through M. I would like to pull item E off for a little discussion. Paul, just be alerted.
And I'd like to pull off L.
And L's been pulled. Okay. Any other items to be pulled? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I would move approval of the consent calendar A through D, F through K, and M.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. As the motion maker indicated, A through D, F through K, and item M. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, hearing none, that motion will pass. I asked that item E be pulled. Paul, are you there in reference to the Pacific Rock Quarry expansion?
I am, and Chad Christensen is on the line too, and he is our staff expert on that, and even has some new information that came across the transom this morning about
That's what
that.
I was hoping for, but also wanted to compliment you on your letter. I thought that was very well done. I read it a couple times and just thank you for that. Okay, and the other, you answered additional information subsequent to the staff report.
Correct. So Chad wrote the letter. He gets a lot of credit. George, do you want to hear what that additional information is?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Chad.
Yes, if you
Louder.
In researching the project, I attempted to find a couple articles that I saw on the internet that referenced the quarry itself, and since they were older articles, I was unable to obtain them in a reasonable amount of time. I don't have access to the back archive of the VC Star, but someone was able to provide them to me, and one of them had some direct impacts of the county was notified by the State Department of Conservation that oversees the mining operations in the state that the county was failing to properly enforce the surface mining SMARA, excuse me if I'm not remembering the acronym there, but they were failing to properly enforce that, and so the state forced them to issue a cease and desist order to the Pacific Rock Quarry mine operator that the county was resistant to do, but was eventually forced by the state to do that. And so some of this background information is lacking in the staff report and project EIR. That seems like it's a relevant issue for how the operation for the mine operates, because part of their violation was operating outside of their CUP designated area. And so as they're now trying to expand their CUP to cover areas that were previously not available to be mined, it's just begs some questions of what restrictions were put on to abate those prior violations. And so that's the stuff that has come in more recently that would be germane to county decision makers and how they proceed with the project.
In short, there's a big black hole about some information, that mitigation that should have occurred, that no one knows if it occurred, and it is relevant to this because it's the same project.
Yeah, makes sense.
So Chad, which supervisorial district is this in?
I don't know the number, but it is in Jeff Gorell's district. I don't know what his number is.
2.
2. Thank you, George.
Has the supervisor weighed in at all?
No, the project is being presented to the Planning Commission at the moment, and so I don't know. I don't know the level of communication between staff and the supervisor's office, but we have not reached out.
So because Supervisor Gorell is a member of the Conservancy Board, please make sure that
definitely
I'm aware of any kind of interaction there.
Certainly.
Good point, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move approval of E.
Okay. Have a second?
I'll second that.
You have a motion and a second to approve. And Paul and Chad, thank you so much for the additional information, and we're going to stay on top of that. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions, hearing none, that motion will pass. Moving on to,
L.
thank you, I'm gonna give my pages turned. Item L, that was pulled by Jim. Jim?
Yeah, that trail exists now. So what is its official status now? In that now we're doing an easement, but that trail's already on the ground, is it not?
What item is this?
L.
The backbone trail.
Consideration of resolution authorizing acceptance of an offer to dedicate trail easement and declaration of restrictions associated with the coastal development permit number 4-10-110 Foy, unincorporated Malibu.
Oh, okay, that one. Yeah, no, legal's handling that, but it, no, I don't think that portion of the backbone trail is vouchsafe for pure public access. I think that this is needed to really solidify that section of the backbone trail.
Well, that section of the backbone goes from Stunt Road to Saddle Peak. It's existed for years.
Well, the trail has, but I don't know if it's 100% how legal it is. I really don't know the exact answer to this.
Okay, yeah, that was my question. The trail's been there for many years, so the property owner has just been allowing the trail to be there, and now it's being formalized. Is that?
Well, they made the offer to dedicate over 20 years ago, and yeah, I guess it's been that kind of a relationship where people.
And we're saying yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then secondly, in the staff report, it defines it as a hiking equestrian trail, which is correct. That's one of the few sections of the backbone that is closed to bikes. And all of the sections of the backbone that are close to bikes are state parks. That includes the section from Old Topanga over to Stunt, and then this section, and then out at Point Magoo, the Ray Miller Trail, which is the western terminus. And then there's also a section of the backbone trail which goes through California wilderness, which is of course close to bikes. When this says in a declaration of restrictions, there's no restriction or any kind of a statement that kind of defines it as only a hiking and equestrian trail. Is it there?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, legal wrote that staff report, and so I kind of handed it off to them and to Coastal. So I have not mastered this at all. I wasn't prepared.
Okay, it would be, in the long term, the mountain bike community is very, very interested in opening up the entire backbone trail to bicycle use and to multiple use. And as I said, very small parts of the backbone are not open, and they're all owned by state parks. So this is really kind of a problem for them. But I would hate to see language that makes it harder rather than language that makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. When it talks about the restrictions, those are actually restrictions on the landowner as to what they can do, given that there's a trail easement, correct?
Mm.
Okay.
I wish I could offer more intel on this right now, but I have not.
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit. That's pretty standard language as it relates to what you said, Mr. Hasenauer, about restrictions on the landowner. The easement's coming to us sort of as it was formed in the original documents. We can't really make any changes to that because that's what was conditioned on the original development. But I think your comments are helpful, and we'll be very mindful of that going forward. But this isn't a restriction on the use of that of the easement itself in that sense.
Great, thank you. I'll move approval of L.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve item L on the consent calendar. Any other comments, questions come to mind? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, hearing none, that motion will pass. That concludes the consent calendar item 7. We're moving on to item 8, discussion items. 8A, report from staff on emergency actions taken pursuant to resolution number 25-25. Staff, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I can give this report. Since the last report, there has been one contract awarded under the emergency designation. The contract is related to the fire repair work at Temescal Gateway Park. So while performing that work, the contractor Toro Enterprises found a compromised gas line. Their pressure testing revealed serious leaks that hadn't been detectable before. These leaks pose an immediate safety risk and also delay the return of Temescal residents. So to begin to address these leaks, the contractor was awarded an augmentation to their existing contract in order to inspect the gas lines. And that's it for emergency items since the last report. I'd also like to flag that a state of emergency cannot continue to be affirmed without the MRCA board's fourth member. And so that's why there's no resolution for continuing the state of emergency in the agenda after this. And that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And
So do we need, Lillian, do we need a special meeting to continue that finding?
I would think so.
So when do we need to have that?
So according to the procurement policy, after an emergency action is taken, an emergency board meeting must be called and the report must be made within 7 days. And so the next time an emergency thing happens, then we'd need to get the board together.
So we need to have a board meeting within the next 7 days?
I think, Joe, if I could jump in, I think the recommendation would be to have it as soon as possible, to reinstitute the ongoing emergency, which, as you just heard, is still important to ensuring the safety of the parks and carrying out the work after the fire. So sooner the better. There are various provisions under the law that have different requirements, but the recommendation is right now just to make sure we're on the right side of the statutes to not award any emergency contracts until we can reform, reassemble the board with all 4 members and make the finding that there's an emergency, ongoing emergency, and reinstitute that finding.
Hey, James, you'll be.
So should we have the Conservancy Board Chair appoint somebody on a pro tem basis to allow that to go forward, or not?
I don't
Well, first
know.
of all, do we anticipate any more emergency above the dollar limit contracts in the next month?
I'd imagine it might depend based on this Temescal one, if they find right now the augmentation is for inspection of the gas lines. And so I imagine there's going to be a finding of a scope of work in order to address them. And that may need emergency contract work.
Joe, have we ever considered becoming a board of 5? So 3 would be a majority?
That would be up to the joint powers partners. So there are 3 joint powers partners, and bringing a public member in. Originally, it was 3. A public member in was a big deal. And we're very happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
And going to a board of 5. I don't know how that extra member would be appointed, and I'm sure that would be a source of interesting discussion within our body.
Why don't we leave that topic for later, and let's now address the 4th member. And James probably knows the schedule of our other members and when that could possibly take place.
I actually have no idea when Rudy's coming back. So I don't.
Well, we don't need anybody from Rancho. All we need.
We'll need Rudy.
Yeah.
So once he gets back from vacation, I'll have a better idea.
Okay, so if you could follow up on that so we can create a a meeting with all 4 members. Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions on item 8A? Any further information for the oral report?
That's it.
Nope. Very good. Thank you. We're moving on to item 8B, consideration resolution authorizing acceptance of fee interest transfer from County of Los Angeles for an approximately 14.7 acre property identified by APN 2552-001-900 and formerly known as Camp Lewis Ruff in the Big Tahunga Canyon, City of Los Angeles. Staff, please.
Good afternoon again, board. We'll be presenting this item. We're proposed to acquire this 14-acre property from the County of Los Angeles after their probation department has ceased to use the property. You can see in the subject property map that the property has been site scraped, so there is no longer any infrastructure. There at the top, it abuts our 110-acre property to the south. We also own a conservation easement or hold the conservation easement across the street to the northwest, and then some fee title interest by the DMCA to the west. And so this property will be a good addition. As I said, it abuts, and it also provides some connectivity to the Angeles Forest, a trail route, and the transition, or the conveyance documents from the county to MRCA. They have requested some special conditions be applied, that the property retain its open space nature. However, we've also been able to negotiate that we could install up to 2 modular trailer units for site manager residences and a community meeting room. And so we believe it's a good opportunity for the agency to add to our land base.
Okay.
And Chad, do you want to address the intention to incorporate tribal use on the property?
Right, yes. Sorry. Thank you, Rory. We previously toured the property with county staff and some tribal representatives. In that tour, there was some discussion about what future uses could be made available for tribal entities. One of them being a native plant nursery. Another could be a tribal fire station to a more or less degree. With the imposition of the county's open space requirements, it becomes a little bit more difficult to say exactly what could be there, but we are definitely happy to negotiate we'd be happy to engage in negotiations with any tribal entity as far as what they would like to see on the property and do our best to accommodate that, because there is plenty of leeway to accomplish some of those goals. So it may not be the full build out of what some people may have anticipated with a fire camp or anything like that, but we can definitely accommodate some multi-use. And the property to the south currently hosts the annual Indigenous Peoples Day in October. And so the opportunity to expand the use of that property with this area would be helpful as well. There's a little bit more easy driveway access off the Big Tahunga Canyon Road. And so one of the main tasks I will have upon closing would be to install a gate at that entrance, because it is currently just blocked with K-rail.
Mentioning staff residence, what is the closest other staff residence to this site?
I do not know
Lopez
that.
Canyon, I think.
I'm sorry, what?
Lopez Canyon, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, Lopez
But,
Canyon. That's a non-ranger position, but yes, so Lopez Canyon.
And approximately distance?
Let's say under 10 miles.
Under 10?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
A little circuitous, but yes, probably 10 miles is about right.
Okay.
Move approval.
So,
second.
Mr. Chairman, that's 10
Yes,
miles
sir.
as the crow flies, and our ranger trucks don't
They don't fly.
They don't fly as the crow flies.
Well, we don't talk about that, but no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions by board members? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions hearing none, that motion will pass. Next item is C. And earlier there was a comment by Joe of possibly postponing this, or staff, please. This, let me read the item: consideration resolution authorizing action to remove encroachments on Castair Drive fee simple portion of Trebek open space associated with residents at 2144 Castair Drive, Nicholas Canyon, City of Los Angeles. Staff, please.
So, Mr. Chairman, our recommendation is that we postpone this. You've heard both sides. Frankly, most of the people want us to continue to own the property, but keep it closed. My hope is that if it's continued to be closed, that they would take the responsibility of owning it. But if we're going to open it, then we're going to have significant issues, as you heard. So we're kicking the can down the road.
Okay, I think that's appropriate at this time. Board members, any comments, suggestions?
Yes, first I'd like to thank you two for your patience in going through this. It seems like there's a tremendous amount of community interest in this. And it's really, we're gonna ultimately have to make the final decision. We're committed to public access to our open space, and so we need to make that happen. But we're also committed to safety, and especially on the fire issue. But it seems that we've had a willingness on the part of the neighbors, both online and in person, to try to work together to solve this. And I'm glad that we can be part of that, and I hope we can reach a suitable resolution.
So, Mr. Hassenauer, I would hope that we could start thinking about some alternative and maybe new ideas. So how about a assessment district on the immediate homeowners? And there would be something like a gate that will be open from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., something like that. And that would be some sort of a time lock, that kind of thing. But it would be operated by the homeowner association or a special district established by them and under certain, conditions. But we can't have both the responsibility of keeping it open to the public and keeping it closed for the adjacent landowners. So we have to work out some kind of a thing, and maybe there's a way of doing that through some sort of a special district.
And that could very well be the solution.
Yeah. Good ideas, good thoughts. Like indicated, we've got to start addressing this, and we've got very concerned and interested neighbors, understandably, and so we'll work on it together and come up with a solution. Any other board member comments at this time?
I would just briefly say that I'd be compelled if formally the fire department or the police department were taking a position on this. That would be a little bit more compelling if we heard from them as a group and not just as an individual. So if that was available to us, that might help move or sway a decision one way or the other. But that would certainly be helpful in determining best course of action going forward.
Yeah, the shoot time.
We got the understanding. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys coming, but yes, absolutely. 3 days. I got it. Yeah.
Okay, with that information, we're going to go ahead and postpone item 8C. And then staff will keep us informed as to what we do next on this particular item in the future. Okay, any other comments or questions? At this time, that completes our general agenda and discussion items. So we've now got item 9, closed session. We are moving into a closed session. While Jeff makes announcements, please log off unless you are a governing board member or key staff member. The meeting will be locked before the closed session begins and reopened for public afterwards. If you would like to rejoin, provide your name and phone number in the Q&A box. Staff will notify you when you log back in. So, again, thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. It's a great presentation. You really, in the short time,
It's
you
a
put
hard
together a lot of this.
situation. There is access on the upper trail, and just it's not like there's no, it goes out to. There's no parking. You'll find out all about it. Thank you for your understanding, your consideration. It's a tough situation. We understand your position.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, if you please take us into closed session.
No problem. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, the governing board of the MRCA will meet in closed session to discuss quite a few claims. The first one,
Yes.
separate claim, is by Carlos Moreno.
Jeff, we're not there yet. We're not clear.
It's okay. This is open session.
Okay.
In addition, there are 784 claimants also listed on the agenda, will be discussed also pursuant to D2 of the Government Code section.
You're good, Jeff.
All right. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, the MRCA Governing Board met in closed session to discuss the claims as listed on the closed session agenda, and direction was given to staff. No further report.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for your staff. Okay, that brings us to item X, announcement of future meeting and adjournment. Our next scheduled meeting is October 1st, but this may change due to board member schedules. Plus, with the requirement of an additional meeting ASAP, we'll be informed by staff when those opportunities present themselves. But October 1st, with the potential of another meeting prior to that.
I think we can say with certainty that October 1st will not be happening. Hopefully we can postpone it to the week after on the 8th.
8th? Okay, we'll modify that to October 8th.
Yeah, I can do the 8th, but I have to be out of here by like 12:15. I have to be at Cedars at 2.
Okay.
But we only need everybody to start the meeting.
To take those 2 items and then.
Take those 2 items.
Okay.
We'll excuse you.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned unless there's something for the good of the organization. Adjourn this meeting until the 8th.
Thank you, Zach.
Hey, thank
Thank
you.
you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you all.